The observation deck of the trade station hummed with the quiet efficiency of 100 different species conducting business across the stars. Captain James Walker stood at the far window, watching the pale blue planet rotate slowly beneath them. He had been traveling the outer reaches for 3 years now, ever since Earth's merchant fleet had finally broken through the political barriers that kept humanity confined to their own solar system. The woman who approached him moved with a grace that seemed almost liquid. Her skin held a faint lavender hue, and her eyes were larger than human standard, with vertical pupils that contracted as she stepped into the brighter light near the viewport. She wore the practical jumpsuit of a station administrator, but carried herself with an authority that suggested she was something more. "You are from Earth," she said. It was not a question. James turned to face her fully. "I am James Walker, captain of the merchant vessel Perseverance." "And you are?" "Administrator Lyra of the Valian Commerce Guild." She gestured toward the planet below. "That is my homeworld. Valia Prime." "Beautiful," James said, meaning it. The planet's cloud formations created intricate patterns across continents that glowed with the bioluminescent flora the Valians were famous for cultivating. Lyra's expression shifted into something he could not quite read. Sadness, perhaps, or curiosity. "There are no men left on this planet," she murmured, her gaze fixed on the world below. James waited. He had learned in his years among the stars that silence often invited more truth than questions. 17 generations ago," Lyra continued, "a plague swept through our civilization. It was engineered, we later discovered, by a rival species who hoped to claim our worlds once we fell. The pathogen was designed with a terrible precision. It targeted only males. Within 2 years, every man, every boy on Valia Prime, and our 6 colony worlds had died." The casual enormity of the statement hit James like a physical blow. He found himself gripping the railing before the viewport. "Everyone?" "Everyone." Lyra's voice remained steady, but her fingers traced the edge of her data tablet in a repetitive pattern that spoke of old grief. "We were not a numerous people to begin with. Perhaps 20 billion across all our territories. The plague took half our population in the time it takes a child to learn to walk." James did the mathematics in his head and felt sick. 10 billion dead. An entire gender erased from existence. "How did you survive?" he asked quietly. "Desperation breeds innovation," Lyra said. "Our best scientists worked without sleep, without rest. They developed parthenogenetic reproduction techniques, gene therapy, artificial gamete creation. We learned to reproduce with only female genetic material. It saved us from extinction, but it changed us forever." She turned to face him directly now, and James saw something burning in those alien eyes. Something fierce and determined. "We survived. We rebuilt. We reclaimed our worlds and pushed back against those who thought us destroyed. We made ourselves stronger, harder, more resilient. The Valian Commerce Guild now controls 17% of all trade in this sector. We are respected, feared even. No species dares to threaten us again. But," James prompted gently. Lyra's laugh was bitter. "But we are dying anyway. Slowly this time, more gently. The genetic diversity required for long-term survival continues to narrow with each generation. Our population grows smaller, despite our best efforts. We number perhaps 8 billion now across all our territories. In another century, perhaps 2, there will be no Valians left at all. We will simply fade away, having survived the blade only to succumb to time itself." James looked back at the planet, seeing it now through different eyes. A world of women, brilliant and strong, fighting against the slow entropy of their own genetics. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked, Because you are the first human male I have ever spoken to, Lyra said. Your species is new to the galactic community. You are still ignorant of so many dangers. I wanted you to understand what can be lost. What enemies will do when they believe they can destroy you with impunity. The ones who created the plague, James said. What happened to them? The Vorten hierarchy. Lyra's voice went cold. They no longer exist. We made certain of that. When we had rebuilt enough strength, we went to every one of their 17 worlds. We offered them a choice. Unconditional surrender and submission to Valiant oversight, or annihilation. 16 worlds chose surrender, and the 17th? We made an example. Lyra met his gaze without flinching. Their homeworld is now a monument. A lifeless rock in space that broadcasts a warning to anyone who approaches. Some call us cruel for it. Perhaps we are. But no species has attempted genocide against another in this sector for 16 generations. Fear, Captain Walker, can be a force for peace. James absorbed this, understanding the weight of what she was sharing. A civilization pushed to the brink had become something harder in order to survive. He wondered if humanity would have responded differently. He doubted it. Your species still has both genders, Lyra said. You have genetic diversity. You have the luxury of conflict between your sexes, of different perspectives, of biological balance. Do not take it for granted. Protect it. There are those in the galaxy who will target perceived weaknesses. We will, James promised. Lyra nodded slowly. Your Earth government sent you out here to establish trade relationships. I can help with that. The Valiant Commerce Guild has connections throughout this entire region of space. We can introduce you to partners who will deal fairly. We can warn you away from those who will not. Why help us? Because 17 generations ago, we would have welcomed such help ourselves. Lyra pulled a data crystal from her pocket and offered it to him. This contains contact information for trustworthy partners in 12 different sectors, along with threat assessments for hostile species operating in your projected travel routes. Consider it a gift from one survivor species to another. James accepted the crystal, feeling its slight weight in his palm. I do not know what to say. Say that you will remember, Lyra told him. Say that when you return to Earth, you will tell them about the Valiants. Tell them what we lost. Tell them what we became. Let it be a lesson and a warning. I will, James said. I promise you that. Lyra's expression softened slightly. There is something else you should know. Our scientists have never stopped working on the genetic diversity problem. Recently, we have begun cautiously approaching other species about genetic cooperation. Careful hybridization programs that might introduce new variation into our genome while maintaining our essential nature. She paused, and James saw a flicker of something that might have been hope. Humanity is genetically compatible with approximately 40% of known sapient species, according to preliminary scans. That is an unusually high percentage. The Valians are compatible with approximately 30%. The overlap between our species is nearly complete. James understood what she was suggesting and felt the weight of it. You want to know if Earth might be interested in such a program. Not now, Lyra said quickly. Your species is too new to the galactic community. You need time to establish yourselves, to understand the politics and dangers of this larger universe. But perhaps in the future, when you are ready, there could be discussions. Formal proposals. Scientific cooperation that might benefit both our peoples. I can carry that message back, James said. I cannot promise what the answer will be. I expect nothing, Lyra said. But hope costs nothing, and we have learned to nurture it carefully. She glanced at her data tablet as it chimed softly. Your cargo has been loaded. Your departure clearance is approved. The stars are open to you, Captain Walker. James extended his hand in the human fashion, and after a moment's hesitation, Lyra grasped it. Her grip was firm, her skin cooler than human standard. "Thank you," he said, "for the warning, for the help, for trusting me with your story." "Travel safely," Lyra said, "and remember us." James made his way back to his ship, the data crystal secure in his pocket and Lyra's story burning in his mind. As the Perseverance undocked and began its journey back toward Earth, he looked at the retreating station and the pale blue planet beyond it. A world of women fighting against time itself. He would remember. He would make certain Earth remembered. And perhaps someday humanity might help them fight that battle. The stars stretched out before him, infinite and full of dangers he was only beginning to understand. But they were also full of potential allies, of stories like Lyra's that needed to be heard and honored. James set his course for home and began composing his report. Some stories were too important to let fade into silence.